back to Dilatory Stories, where we have local interesting people and business owners come on and tell their stories across the Upper Cumberland and beyond. Today we have Homero Gonzalez. He is the owner of Harmacy Hot Sauce, based out of Cookeville.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, great to meet you. Glad to have you on. Like I was telling you earlier, I've been a big fan of the hot sauce for a couple of years now anyway. And I'll just start off by telling everybody who's listening, this is the best hot sauce you will ever have. It doesn't matter what flavor you get. It doesn't matter if you like the really hot stuff or if you like it, if you just like the low heat and high flavor. He's got whatever you want. You've got it, don't you?
Yes, sir. I try to serve as many as I can. Absolutely. But it's an honor to be held in such high regard. Truly, that's awesome.
No, yeah, and like I was telling you before the podcast, I gave one of my buddies a jar earlier a couple days ago, and he called me. He finished it in like 2 days, and he said that's the best hot sauce I've ever had in my life, and it really is. So how did you get into hot sauce?
So, well, the story begins with a lot of things failing and just not kind of going my way. I was going to tech for electrical engineering, and that was right around the time that the pandemic hit. So a lot of stuff was not going right, especially with all classes going online and still having to pay full price for the pleasure of learning absolutely nothing. But a couple years prior, I had started making hot sauces just as a hobby. And I've been cooking for, at that time, about 15 years. So there was a hot sauce that I had tried that kind of opened my eyes to the vehicle for flavor that hot sauce could be. And so I started messing around with my own flavors, and that's I did Cinco first. That's the tomatillo and clementine sauce. And with what I learned from making that one, I kind of took a shot in the dark and just kind of randomly put a few things together, and that resulted in the recipe for Brimstone Rim Job, which is my personal favorite of the lineup.
Yeah, that's my favorite too.
Yeah, it's a good one. As well as my most decorated award winner. So I had those two flavors in my recipe arsenal for a few years, and I'd be sharing them with friends and whatnot. But once everything kind of started crashing down, all of the calls from the buddies that were like, "Oh man, dude, this stuff is so good. You got to try and sell. You got to try and make a business out of it." And for years, I'm just like, "No, man, you have no idea how hard that is. That is not a good move. Not a good move at all." But once I saw that all of society was held together by wishes and bubblegum, and that everything around me was made up by someone no more clever or intelligent than me, I was like, well, I'll make stuff up too. So let me give this a shot and see where it goes. And so far, so good.
So it was kind of COVID. That's what
Yep.
That's what led you to deciding to take it on as a business.
Yep, I figured it was going to be now or never. This is the opportunity, and yeah, it was a good move.
So when you started out, you just started out at your house, just cooking.
That's where that's where I tested out my recipes and figured out like what packaging did I want to do, and I did like my first sales pitch or whatever was just over Snapchat over to my friends, and I because I had made food for them in the past, and so I just kind of threw it up on a story or something like that, like, hey guys. If you guys have tried my food and liked it, hey, I'm making some hot sauces now. Curious if anybody's willing to pick some up and give me your feedback on what you think about them and whatnot. And I was pretty surprised to find 20 or 30 people that were interested and responded. So I got a lot of practice in how to sell the sauce and I got, like I said, good feedback from them. Everybody loved it, and so that kind of gave me the green light to start putting a little bit more effort behind this. And so that was, in 2021, around August, is when, by that point, I had figured out to move away from mason jars with like boiling water, sealing, and all that kind of stuff, which was super labor-intensive and really slow. I found these 9-ounce straight-sided jars that I currently use, and there was a market, the Shops and Hops market at Jighead Brewing when it was still open, and that was my first face-to-face interactions with strangers to try, to continue learning how to sell the sauce.
How did that go the first time?
It went surprisingly well. I mean, I had never done anything quite like that before. And so I came up with what do I want the brand to look like, and also what is possible within the scope of my very limited artistic ability. So, I mean, as you can see, even to this day, I still have a pretty simple design, but it was even more simple back then.
Well, I was going to ask about it. So this isn't the original design, or is it pretty similar to the original?
It's definitely similar, but there's a much more professional flair to it now. But the core concept I did come up with, and it was built from assets in Adobe Express. But a buddy of mine is a tattoo artist, and he came up with he took the idea, the concept of it, and added the different flourishes there, and he turned the fleurs into peppers, and he added the flames and did a little bit of dot work and all that kind of stuff, just to give it a bit more of an intentional look. And
it looks great.
Thank you. And that's what I've been rolling with ever since.
Yeah, it's great packaging. It doesn't take away from anything. It really adds to it. Like it makes you want to get in there to it.
Yeah, you look at it, it's like there's something about this. It just seems interesting. It's fancy in its simplicity.
Yeah, it doesn't give away too much.
Right.
It keeps you curious.
Yeah.
I love how you got the label back there.
Yep. We got somebody did a doodle of me, and I mean I love it. I have it on my sleeve here as well.
Oh yeah,
but yeah,
that's cool. I like that.
I got to turn that into stickers soon.
Oh yeah, I've got your sticker. I don't know if you noticed. I've got the one of the first stickers that come from there. In one of the first orders I got it on the back of my truck out there.
Awesome.
Yeah, I rock that around everywhere. I tell everybody about this hot sauce.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you spreading the word.
So, what about the name Harmacy?
So, inspiration is everywhere. For those with eyes to see, I guess. I was just hanging out. I was running errands with my brother. He needed to go get something done in Verizon or whatever, but I didn't need to go inside, so I was hanging out. And across the street from Verizon was a CVS. And a telephone pole was covering the P in pharmacy. I was like, Harmacy. It's like a pharmacy that hurts. Oh, that's a pretty good idea for hot sauce. And yeah, it seems to work.
Was you thinking about the business then whenever you seen that? Was that kind of at the same time? Or
It was, when was that? I want to say it was in like 2018, 2019. So like the earliest tickle of maybe I might start a business about this. Like, if I did, what would it be called? What would it? And because I needed to have those details really fleshed out before I was like, okay, well, now we're gonna do the full push and actually make a company out of this. But that moment where the name came through, that was a big deal in terms of the possibility of it.
Yeah, that made you really kind of realize you've really got something going now.
Right.
The wheels really started to turn then, I guess.
This could work.
What about naming the sauces? Where did you come up with those names at?
So I actually like to think that I put almost as much thought into the names of the sauces as I do the recipes themselves, because that's shaping the identity of the flavor before you ever even taste it. So and they all have kind of varied stories of where the names come from. But I guess the easy one to talk about is Brimstone Rim Job.
Yeah.
So that one actually is a great story. The name existed before the sauce ever did. Granted by only a couple of days, but it began with a trip to Calf Killer Brewing, and I was hanging out with some buddies, and a different customer came in with a big tote of peppers that he had grown, and wanted to gift them to Don Sergio. And I made some passing comment as to him liking spicy food or whatever. He's like, oh, you like spicy food too? Hang out here for a second. And a couple minutes later, he came back with a gallon Ziploc bag full of a selection of peppers from the tote. And it had all kinds of stuff that I'd never used or tried before, like Thai chilies and different types of habaneros and Peter peppers and this and that. And I was like, dude, thank you so much. This is really cool. You know what? I'm going to turn this into a hot sauce, and I'm going to bring some back to you. And so, like I had mentioned, this is when I had only made Cinco at the time, and I was like, all right, well, I've got something that's bright, fresh, and juicy. let me do something the opposite. Let me do something more roasty, smoky, and earthy, and kind of just wing it and see what happens. I don't, So I came home. I took all the peppers, cut them in half, threw them under the broiler, get them all nice and roasty and toasty, and threw them in a pot with some garlic, some apple cider vinegar, a little bit of salt, just the most basic, bare bones hot sauce ingredients. And I was like, I wonder what this tastes like. Dude, that set me on fire. Because I also had I had not practiced my spicy eating at that point. So that lit me up. Also, it's much hotter than the current iteration of Brimstone.
Yeah,
but,
you kind of dialed it in after that.
Yeah. But so I tried it, and it was, dude, searing pain. I couldn't. I had tears streaming down my face. I had my ears were ringing. I could barely see or do anything. It's like I flashbanged myself. So I threw open the pantry. I'm like, oh God, what can I possibly add to this? And so what's in my pantry? I've got fire roasted tomatoes, great. Roasted red peppers, yeah, that's going in there. I've got some apricot jam, yes. Spices, definitely need those. Tried it, blended everything up, cooked it down a little bit, tried it again. It's like, whoa, that's still hot. But I was like, oh my, what could I possibly add that's going to complement these flavors and fix the? And then my eyes landed on tahini, and I was like, ooh, that's it. It's a fatty ingredient. Fat binds to capsaicin. It's gonna mute that heat a little bit and give it a unique texture. And it's like perfect. This is awesome. And it was so cool when I added it in at first, because when you mix it in, it like the texture doesn't look really nice. But when you hit it with the immersion blender, it disperses the tahini really, really finely through the sauce, and it gave it like I said, that unique texture. It kind of like emulsified into the sauce. It changed the color of it, and it was like a transformation. And it was like, that was an aha moment. It's like, ooh,
that was the secret ingredient right there.
That was it. And I tried it, and I was like, all right, this is something that I've never tried before. Like, I've never had anything that tastes quite like this. And I was very, very, very happy with that. Very proud of that random, painful accomplishment. But because of how it came to be, I hadn't written anything down. I did all of this in a panic, so I didn't write anything down, and it was in a glass jar. I had saved a little bit on the side for for Dawn, and had gotten delivered a few days later. But about a week after, I was like, all right, I need to sit down and like really write this down. And that day, when I got home from work, my partner at the time had dropped the sauce out of the fridge. She's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." That's I was like, "Oh no, no, this is really bad." So I immediately had to try and recollect what I had done, and the brimstone rim job recipe that we have today is honestly my best guess at what I had done the first time.
Oh wow!
But I mean, hey, I've been working on it now for 5-6 years.
Yeah.
So
you've definitely perfected it now.
Indeed,
I feel
indeed.
like. And you're talking about the texture of your sauces. The texture is just, I love the texture of them. Because you go just buy like a big name commercial hot sauce at the store. There, it's like they're watered down.
Yeah, it's mostly vinegar, a bunch of salt, and yeah, it's got some peppers, maybe some onion, maybe some of this, whatever. But yeah, it's just like so super processed. And yeah, for my sauces, I like to have a thicker texture, as you can see, and it's I want it to be a richer kind of experience. And I also don't filter anything out. I don't filter out any seeds or skins or anything like that. Everybody in the pool, it's all part of the ingredients. It's all part of the pepper. Why not? It's also a huge pain to sift it out.
Oh yeah,
and that adds time, that adds cost, that adds.
Yeah,
I want to. There's a certain effort budget to each flavor, and I want to make sure that it gets spent as wisely as possible, so I can have the highest quality sauce at the most affordable price that I am capable of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely worth the money. What about the new flavor? You're talking about you got this new flavor out here. How often do you like to put a new flavor out? Or is that something, because I know you've got to be really busy making the sauces and getting them out and shipping them out. So how much time do you really have to come up with a new, and do you have like a goal set? Do you want to put a new one out every, so often?
So I put out flavors pretty infrequently because it does take a lot of work to fully develop one so that it stands up to how good each other flavor is. Also, it's really important to not overcomplicate our logistics of a manufacturer, having all these different ingredients, because all of my sauces, each unique flavor is wildly different from all the others. They don't share almost anything in terms of what they taste like. So that's a lot of space in different ingredients that has to be kept up in the shop. So I have 6 core flavors right now. That is as many as I want to have. We can handle that well with the space that we've got with everything. 6 totally different flavors. I mean, if you can't find one you don't like, that's I've done my best.
Yeah, ain't much else you can do for them. Then,
that's it. So I also wanted my flavors to not compete with one another for what you use them on, so that you buy more. But in order to, of course, with these 6 sauces, with anything, if it stays static for too long, it'll get stale, and you get used to the flavors, and they're not special anymore. So what I have in mind are I can make variations of these flavors, and so it'll still have the same core components, but vary some of this or trade this thing out for that thing, and you can create a different one. Like, for example, brimstone, if I made like a piri piri version of it where I added some paprika, some lemon juice and or zest, and replaced the tahini with like sunflower butter or something like that, that would give it a completely new experience to it. Or Totex Tears, the dried chili and plum sauce, that would be fantastic maybe with like bourbon and coffee in it, or something like that. So there is a lot of
Okay, we're back. We had some technical difficulties with the Volunteer Electric Company. I don't know what's going on. The lights flashed all of a sudden. It's like
a little power flicker there.
Yeah, a big storm come through or something there, but come right back on. So we'll get back into it here. We were talking about your sauces and talking about how you can mix up the flavors to use them on different stuff. And I love how you include these recipes. You got all these recipes. Are these just like family recipes? Have you wrote all these up? I mean, how do you get all these different ones?
It's a mix. Like, for example, the white chicken chili recipe there, that is, in fact, a family recipe. That's one that my dad and I have been making for a pretty long time. And so that was an easy one to adapt to Cinco. But a few of them are just the ones that I make. These are my personal favorite recipes to make with my own sauces. And so those are the ones that I want to share with everybody so that you guys can, get the idea of how I use them, and then you can extrapolate and use them in your own foods.
Yeah, how they were made to be used is coming from yours, and then you can kind of branch off from that.
Yep.
And do whatever you want to with them.
Exactly. So versatility is the name of the game. Yeah, don't get me wrong. These are great as just a topping or a condiment or something like that, but I think that you're going to get the most use out of them by incorporating them into your cooking. And it's just like a great flavor shortcut. You can just add a quarter of a jar, and you can make a really flavorful meal for 4 people. And that is a great way to stretch out these 9-ounce jars.
Mm-hmm. I put them mix them into my eggs for breakfast every morning. And any of the flavors work for that. It just kind of depends on what you're feeling. You were saying that you'd been cooking for 15 years before you started this. Mm-hmm. So you started cooking when you were just a kid then?
Yep. I started cooking in earnest probably when I was like 14, 15. And it's, so I'm Cuban, and growing up, my grandmother would always make breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So I learned how to speak the love language of food, and sharing good eats with everybody that's one of my absolute favorite things to do. Which is part of, it's definitely what led to this, because making those sauces, I would make big batches and give people some to enjoy, and invite friends over, and we do big dinner parties and drink and have a great time and send everybody home with sauce and whatnot.
That's one thing about food. Everybody's got to eat food, but food is also about community and culture, and there's a lot more to food when you really get into it.
Absolutely. Food is love, and I love food.
Yes, that's a good way to put it right there. So, whenever you started this, you said you were working another job too, correct? Whenever you
Yes.
first started, when did you know you and decide to take the leap to full time?
Oh man, that was a scary decision. So I was working I was working part time at the electric department for Cookeville, which it was a job that I was able to get because I was an engineering student. But at a certain point, I realized that I was not going to be finishing my degree. But the nature of the work was pretty light because it was meant to allow room for doing homework and stuff like that while helping out. But once there was no more homework, I used that time, and knowing that there's a shelf life on this position, it's like, all right, well, I have like maybe a year to flesh out the details of this business before I'm going to be out on my own, and I either need to do it full time or I'm going to have to get another job, which is not going to be nearly as understanding when it comes to what I need to do to develop this business. So, yeah, that was I worked on it as long and hard as I could, and right at the start of 2023 is when I went full time into sauce operations. I rented the commercial space that I'm currently in, and I built out my own kitchen in it. And I started bare bones. I had a couple of tables, a couple of racks, and one 10-gallon pot with an induction cooktop.
How many jars could you do at that time, like out of one batch there?
A 10-gallon batch can give me about 130 to 150 jars, depending on the recipe.
What are you running now? What's the setup look like now?
What's interesting is that it's still those 10-gallon kettles. It's just now it's multiples because this building doesn't have the space or the power requirements to run like serious equipment like a steam kettle or something like that. So I've had to take that very simple setup that runs off of 120 volts. I have to work with what I've got. And I was able to duplicate that setup. So if we're making 30 or 40 gallons of hot sauce, that's 3 or 4 10-gallon kettles running side by side. It is a nightmare to do it, but it's what we've got, and it's what got us this far. And so I think that within the next year and a half, we'll be able to grow out of that building and into a new facility where we will have the space to get steam kettles, to get automated labeling and date coding equipment and all that kind of stuff. The problem is that that's like $250,000 worth of hardware. Mm-hmm. So we have a lot of sauce to make between then and now. But things are going really well. We have, at least doubled our business every year since we started. So from 21 to 22, 3, 4, 5 have at least doubled.
Can't ask for any more than that, can you?
No way. No, that is phenomenal. I'm
that is great.
So grateful that things are going as well as they have. And so all of 23, I was completely alone in that building. At 24 is when I was able to bring on my first employees. So I'm up to 3 employees right now, which is amazing. I straight up don't know how I got anything done before. It was night and day, the difference. It is seriously amazing.
Oh yeah, a lot better outside now, ain't it?
Oh yeah.
So, you were talking about, or we were talking about the going from the 10 to the, multiple 10-gallon drums there. How much sauce do you have a number of sauce you're trying to put out in a week, or are you just putting it out based on orders? How do you go about that?
Well, I'm thankful to say that with the orders that are coming in, we are barely keeping up.
That's what I figured.
Yeah.
I figured you were getting so many orders that you had to be keeping some stock back.
Yeah. So, we specifically Cinco is the hardest to keep in stock. We have to make that like at least once, if not twice a week, in order to keep those our stocks going. So right now we're making about 60 gallons of hot sauce a week. I would like to make it 90 to 120 by the end of the year. It's now that we are how am I trying to say this? One of the most important things that's happened recently is that I have trained my employees to be able to manufacture the sauce without my input at all. And they get the flavor right. They know what it's supposed to taste like, how to adjust it, all that kind of stuff. And that has allowed me to step away and do the most important work, which is selling the sauce itself, creating the content that shows people what actually goes into this product and why it's worth your dollar. And being able to work on that stuff is what has led to this surge in business where we can barely hold on.
Yeah, you go all around. Speaking of the selling it, you go all around to all these festivals and stuff I see on your Facebook, and you've won a ton of awards at them, and I guess that's where you make a lot of sales at too.
So that's where I got my start in terms of like getting my name out there and seeing what the palates of different parts of the country think of the sauce. And while that was a really valuable way to start, it's not a scalable way to continue. And I still do events across the country. Last year specifically, I did go all over the place. I hit Albuquerque, I hit Chicago, Fort Worth, New York City, Philadelphia. There's all kinds of hot sauce festivals out there and many, many more that I would like to attend. But this year I have focused a lot more on my content creation and running ads instead because we can do all that from the shop, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what's important to be able to grow the business to the point where we can afford to move to a new location.
Yeah, I run across your Facebook ads all the time on there. I see. I mean, you know, you've like you said, you've always got something different too. You're always showing a different kind of ad, and they're great. You know, I love.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
I love the advertising part of the business, and you do a great job on there with all that.
That means a lot because I hate advertising. I hate that I have to put myself in front of people without them asking for it.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, it is the nature of.
It's what you got to do.
It's what you got to do. So I figured if I have to do it, let me do it in a way that I can be proud of. And that's what I shoot for in the style of content that I create. I watched a lot of How It's Made growing up. And that's like my cook videos are styled in that way. I'm also just a big nerd. So that I love that.
Yeah, I know what you mean there. I mean, of course, I do this podcast, but, you know, I love I like the editing side. A lot of people don't like that, but I kind of like doing some editing and playing around, making it look cool in the end.
Right.
I forgot what I was going to ask now. We cut off on that. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. So you were talking about growing your sales. Do you have customers from all around the country now? Do you ship to every
Absolutely.
state?
Yeah, we've shipped to every state. We've shipped to Puerto Rico, Guam, Virgin Islands, I believe, as well. I think even though those, you know, the territories are cool, but I think the most remote place that I've shipped to was Unalaska in the Aleutian Islands.
Oh, wow.
And that was really cool. I was like, where is that? And I was like, that is far from almost anything. That's crazy.
That's crazy.
But yeah, like how did the Harmacy Hot Sauce cross somebody's eyes on the Aleutian Islands?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Like, how does that get there?
Yeah, it's interesting. I love it, though. It's so cool.
Yeah, that's what I like on the podcasting. You look at the stats and you see where people's listen to you from, and you'll have them. I've had them from just like random places in South America and Brazil and I think Peru or something. Just like how did I get to somebody down there?
The internet is amazing for its ability to connect all of us. It is so cool. So cool.
Speaking of the internet, what about your website? I love your website design. It's a very well laid out and easy to use website.
Well, thank you very much. A buddy of mine put that together, and he did an absolutely phenomenal job.
Yeah, it's great. It's very professional.
Yeah, and he's very good at building that, and he's actually really good friends with the other buddy of mine who's the artist for that came up with the branding or touched up the branding, but like the artist designed some unique flair and flames and all kinds of stuff like that the guy that built the website then animated and turned into the experience that you see.
Did you have any experience on the business side of things before you got into this?
Nope. Zero.
How was that learning curve to go through?
Expensive. It's a pretty brazen thing to think, how hard could it be? and then you find out. But I am a natural problem solver, having gone from almost finishing my electrical engineering degree. I was like, well, I mean, I know that I can solve problems. I know that business math isn't going to be as intense as engineering math, so I know I've got that part down. And that's, of course, been really important to know if you're actually making money. You got to figure out what is the cost of your ingredients, of course, but what is the cost of the labor that goes into making one? What is each unit cost? What are the costs that you don't realize, or what shipping price should you set, or what's your shipping threshold for free shipping or something like that, so you're not shooting yourself in the foot. There's a lot of stuff stacked on one another that all has to work out, or you're losing money on every sale.
And then you're going to go out of business pretty quick.
You got to be really, really careful about that. There have been several tools that I have come across that have made this a lot easier. Anyone out there that is interested in manufacturing and retailing your own product, I highly recommend checking out Crafty Base. That is a great piece of software. I was using Excel to track stuff for the first 60 orders, and I was like, this is not going to work. This is immediately wrong. But my dad actually put me on to Crafty Base. He saw some guy that was like a candle maker or something like that, went through all of the features of this program, and as soon as I started watching that video, a big smile just crept on my face. It's like, this is solving every single problem. And so with Crafty Base, that's like I know how much each thing costs. I know all my recipes are in there, all the labor costs, this, that, whatever. All of that information is there. And that allowed me to move forward very seriously with the business.
Yeah, that took a lot of time. That it gave back to you a lot
Absolutely.
of time right there, didn't it?
100%.
Yeah, a lot of times people go into starting businesses and they don't really realize, they just know they're good at whatever the business is, the product.
Right.
But when you get on the business side of it, it's a whole different world.
And that is the majority. Mm-hmm. It is a hot sauce business is like, let's be honest, like 30% about hot sauce. It's 70% business, hardcore. And that is an easy thing to not think about until you have to.
Yeah, until you get into it.
Yeah.
That's like any kind of product-based business, I feel like, is probably, like you said, 30% about the product and 70% about the business side, because there's so many good products out there in any kind of space. It really comes down to the marketing of it and getting in front of people and getting them to justify spending the money on that.
Right. I mean, you could have a great product, but if you can't get that in front of people, it doesn't mean anything.
It's worthless.
Yeah. A great product will bring people back, but it won't get people through the door. And that's what good marketing is for. Marketing gets you to get that opening, or they try it, they love it. All right, now they're sold and they can continue buying and buying. Yeah.
Are you all online, or are you in some places around Cookeville?
I'm in a couple of places in Cookeville and surrounding areas. So in Cookeville specifically, you can find it at the Walnut Street Market. They have the best selection. There's also a more limited selection at Westside Grocery next to Meg's Bread. Up in Gainsboro, you can find it at Miss Sally's Market, and in Livingston, you can find it at Hill Hollow Market.
So how did you go about getting into those? Because you started out online, I guess, or did you start out in those?
Where I started really was those vendor events. Those
events.
things. Yeah. And so for most of 2023 and the first half of 2024, online sales were very nil, because I didn't understand how powerful and effective content was. And I didn't know how to market appropriately and how to run ads, and it's like, running ads is really expensive.
Oh yeah,
we spend, like, you're right that it's you see it constantly. We spend like $400 a day on ads. It's crazy. So it has to work.
Yeah, it has to be a good ad, because you don't want to be wasting that money on ads.
Oh my goodness, whoo! No, it's tough. But so from doing events around, the Cookeville, Nashville, Chattanooga, Knoxville area, the name gets out, people hear about it. Or I did a radio interview with Jason and Sheila out of Cookeville, and that's how Natasha from Miss Sally's Market found me. And other ones that I reached out to, and they're like, yeah, let's try this out. Or so Walnut Street Market was actually the very first shelf that ever carried my products at all, physical. And that was probably right around the end of 2021. So that's like, that's the OG.
Yeah, they've been with you for
Yep.
almost the whole time.
Yep.
Then, do you see yourself wanting to expand more in the brick and mortar retail, or you? I know you said you're focusing a lot online, or you think you're going to do more online?
So, I mean,
Or you're just kind of open to whatever comes around?
I am focusing on online because let's go back to that business side of things. That is the highest margin sales direct to your customer. And if a customer buys over $50 worth of sauce, then shipping is free. So you're connecting directly to the person that wants your sauce, and that is the most impactful sale that we can make. So that's our main focus. And if we can take up the entirety of our manufacturing capacity with direct sales like that, then we would be silly to do anything else. Not until we can, our manufacturing capacity totally outstrips our marketing ability, which I don't know, we'll see. But I would have to have sauce left over from that in order to be like, all right, well, now how do I get rid of this sauce? Okay, let's look at grocery stores. Let's look at this and wholesaling it to other places and stuff like that. Anything prior to that, it's not the most impactful move. We don't have a lot of capital to work with. We are still a really, really small business.
Yeah.
3 employees is awesome, amazing, but it's very little still.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's big companies out there that's putting out their hot sauces with an unlimited budget and unlimited employees.
Pretty much, yeah.
And it's a tough competition there.
It really is. It really is tough. So any moves that we make, that's exposure, and that can really hurt. If we lose a couple $1,000s, that could really mess up the careful way that everything is.
Yeah, throws everything off.
Yeah. It's
and then if a big company loses a few $100,000, they just don't blink an eye at it. Yeah. Write it off and go on and call some more investors.
Yeah, we're McCormick. It's not a big deal.
Do you plan on staying based in Cookeville? Or
actually. So Cookeville has been a really great place to develop and start a business. There is the Small Business Development Center, which is a great resource to kind of get that initial structure set up, which is obviously really important because that's your foundation. It's like, is this going to be a viable business model? They'll give you certain things to check that out. But also logistically, Cookeville is in a great location. It is 8 hours away from the northern, eastern, and southern borders. So that's a great way to reach as many parts of the country as possible.
Yeah, I read something. I can't remember what the exact percentage was, but it was a very high percentage of the country's population is within an 8-hour drive of Cookeville.
Yeah. So, that's why there's so many distribution centers. That's why Averett is headquartered here. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think it's a good move to stay in Cookeville. And also, that's where my employees live.
What on the shipping side of it, we're talking about that a little bit. You were talking about, you had to play around with all this stuff and figure things out. When it came to shipping, who do you ship with now?
We use the United States Postal Service. Yep. And it's, nobody's perfect, but that's got the best rates overall. And, we've got I appreciate having a relationship with the drivers and all that kind of stuff. So they know to come stop by and we work with each other to make that process as seamless as possible. So yeah, Postal Service.
Yeah, that's a huge part of it is the shipping. I mean, if you don't have good shipping and don't have somebody who does a good job at it, then you're just out of luck. People receiving the product, if they receive it damaged, or they're going to blame the shipper, but they're also going to blame you.
100%. Yeah, it comes back on you always. It doesn't look good if it arrives broken. But I'm very proud to say that we have well below a 1% breakage rate. It's probably less than 0.5%, but I can guarantee it's less than 1%.
Yeah, that's great.
And an interesting thing about shipping is that we've had to come up with our own custom shipping solutions because, as you can see, we're in 9-ounce jars, not the classic 5-ounce Woozy bottles. So there's all kinds of different resources out there for shipping, like shippers and stuff like that are pre-made and ready to go for hot sauce companies. We can't take advantage of that stuff. So we found the right size box so we can stack these in their in neat multiples. We hand cut foam strips to separate each jar in the box and pack it with newsprint and all that kind of stuff. But that also gives us a totally unique look. It is a pleasing unboxing experience. So beyond the sauce, as you're opening it, you're getting excited because it's a new type of, maybe not a new type of experience, but it's unique
different.
to us.
Yeah, it's different. It's different, and it kind of helps you to stick in their head.
Right. It's like, this is a different thing.
And a lot of people that aren't in business or anything, they don't even really think about that. But that's a big part, just subconsciously to people, is the look of it, and then, like you said, the opening of it, and just making everything feel top notch. It does something to somebody's brain, even if they're not thinking it does.
Absolutely. Whether or not you notice, it has an impact, and that's why we also write a handwritten thank you, personalized, like thank you for your support, blank, whatever name is.
Yeah.
We have a little stamp of this to put it on there. Whoever's packing signs their name. Like, we always add that personal touch because none of us get to do what we do without that support. So I think it's really important to take that extra few seconds to thank that person for making it possible.
And that means a lot to all the customers, and that keeps them coming back too. I'm sure you have a very high reordering rate, don't you?
Yeah, we have like a 35-40% customer return rate. It's awesome. Fantastic.
Yeah, so you've got that 40% of people locked down forever, basically.
Yep, and it's going back to the content. It's really cool to put that out there because it's I'm speaking directly to them, and then when I send out emails, they can speak directly back to me. I really value, of course, we intend to grow and grow, and there's going to be a lot more on my plate, but at this small stage, when I can still take that time to connect with people directly, it's really, really cool. And it makes a big difference.
Yeah, it's really nice to be able to do that on your side too. It just makes you feel more connected to everything, I guess.
Yep.
What are your plans in the next, I know you're talking about in the next year and a half moving into a bigger facility. I mean, where do you see the company going in, say, 5 years?
5 years, I would like to, expand some of our offerings to definitely want to do dry rubs. I would love to do dry rub versions of every flavor here. And that'll be an interesting project. But I would also, of course, like to do, barbecue sauces and stuff like that. It'd be cool to make different snack foods and eventually full on like retort packaged meals and maybe frozen foods. And I don't know, like that's maybe not 5 years. That's probably 10, 15. But I do want to grow into a full on food manufacturer.
Oh, okay.
We're starting with sauce right now, but I want to make food. I like the concept of big food.
Yeah, so you want to expand your line from the hot sauces all over.
Yep. But we're going to do it slowly and carefully because...
Yeah, because like we were talking about earlier, with being a small business, you've only got so much to work with, and any move you make has to be the right move, really.
Really does.
Oh, that would be awesome, though. That'd be really cool to expand to, like you said, the dry rubs and the other products. And, if your hot sauce are any indicator, I think that'll be great, too.
Well, I appreciate it.
So, what do you think is what do you like the most about the whole process, the whole everything of making the sauce and selling it? And what do you really enjoy doing the most at the business?
The thing that I really enjoy doing is I guess it is the making of it, or let's be honest, it's the developing part. The developing a new flavor, that's a lot of fun because you just kind of get to poke and prod at different ingredients and mix stuff up, and you're like, oh, let's mix this up and see what happens. So yeah, that's the most fun part. But what I really like about what I'm doing is getting to be a part of the hot sauce community, which is so cool, so welcoming, so full of great people. I can't think of an industry that has, that isn't like a lot more cutthroat, or people don't really want to be your friend, or whatever it is. But it's so cool to, when you go to these hot sauce expos and festivals and stuff like that, because every one of those people behind a table is just like you in some way. They all had that idea. They all made the steps to make it real and share what they love with the people around them. And you just immediately have that in common with each other. It's hard to view them as competitors when it's you.
So it makes everybody wants everybody else to do well.
Absolutely. Yeah, we don't gatekeep information. If anybody is struggling, we help. Hey, have you tried this, this, and this? Have you looked into this resource? Hey, this person's just getting started. Oh, you got to check this out. Hey, one thing that I do a lot is, because we trade lineups back and forth between makers all the time. But when I'm eating somebody else's sauce, I absolutely showcase it. I'll put it on my story. I'll make a post or a video about it. I'll do an unboxing. Hey, this person sent me this. They sent me these things. I can't wait to see what I do with them. That kind of stuff. Because what's good for the goose is good for the gander. The bigger that industry grows, the more money is flowing through the hot sauce industry. It's better for all of us, for sure.
That's great to have. That's great to have in a community, because, like you said, in most businesses, you wouldn't get that. It'd be real cutthroat. Everybody out for themselves.
Yep.
Have you ever created a sauce that you didn't like
for sure.
And just just threw it away and started from scratch after that?
I've definitely got some experimental notes in my books of let me try a tropical something kind of sauce with sumac or this or that or whatever, and I made something up and I tasted it and I was like, not only is this kind of just meh, but I don't see a way out of it. I don't know how I could tweak this to be something that I want. And so, it's just like, all right, well, experiment number 3, which just didn't result in anything. Or we have experiment number 6, which turned into ava masala. That one did work out. And like where flavors come from is I don't know, it's interesting. Cause I don't always have an answer for it. It's just, there's a library of random flavor profiles in my head. And at a certain point, I was like, I want to taste that. Like, what is that like as a hot sauce? Totex Tears, I guess, is a good example in that it's a story that I can recall. There was a chili colorado recipe that I really liked, and I was like, well, how do I turn that into a hot sauce? Because it was a simple recipe, and it showed me a really important skill, which was how to adjust the flavor of something that has dried chilies in it. Because for those that have made a dried chili sauce, those chilies are really astringent. They have a certain flavor that you have to adjust using vinegar and sugar. The sweetness and the acidity take that astringency out and let that chili flavor shine through. So, I turned Totex Tears into a hot sauce by adding the dried chili flavors. Obviously, we're going to need a fresh pepper base, so I use jalapenos because those are readily available. It'll be a low heat sauce, so it's nice and approachable. But I wanted to make it a little more interesting. So instead of just adding flat white vinegar and white sugar, what can I do that's going to make this more interesting? So instead of white vinegar, I want to use a 50-50 split of rice vinegar and orange juice. That's going to accentuate those fruity characters. And instead of sugar, how about I use plums and raisins, which are going to be a more complex kind of sweet. And so that's what led to the development of that flavor, mixed with the ancho, guajillo, and pasilla chilies, each of which bring their own character to the mix. And yeah, so I don't know. I got nothing.
Talking about your ingredients, whenever you started doing a higher volume on the week, how did you go about finding a supplier for that?
It's a constant project to ensure that the ingredients that I use are scalable. And I mean, when I very, very first started, I was buying stuff at Publix. That's where it was. And that also shows, that is also part of why I chose the fresh peppers that I do. I don't have farmland, and I'm still too small to contract with a farmer to grow the peppers that we need. We don't have the facilities to deal with an entire harvest of peppers, even if we did, because it's all going to come within a couple months span. We can't deal with all of that. So I am limited to using commonly available peppers that way I can make hot sauce in the dead of winter, and worst case, I can go to the grocery store and get what I need to make a batch. So thinking in that sense is like this. I can't have something be only seasonally available when I'm so small.
Yeah, I was about to say that goes back to being the small business. You kind of got to work with what you got,
Exactly,
and make it the best you can make it.
Yep. And so I'm very fortunate to have what was IWC, now bought out by U.S. Foods, but having that food warehouse that's up in Allgood, that I can go buy 30-pound crates of jalapenos, be them red or green, serranos. I can get my habaneros through them and all that. So that's a really useful resource, of course. There were a lot of things that even kind of to this day I've been buying at Aldi not because I can't get them anywhere else, but because somehow Aldi's prices are cheaper than the commercial-sized versions.
Really?
It's crazy. It doesn't make any sense to me. But, at a certain point, like, that's not going to work. Like pineapple juice, if you were to go to any other grocery store than Aldi, you have either the stuff from concentrate, or you got the Dole cans that are like $1 billion, But the pineapple juice at Aldi is super high quality. It's really delicious, not from concentrate, and it's the most affordable out of all of them. But I'm not going to be able to buy pineapple juice at Aldi forever. So now I'm looking at different companies that do like fruit purees that, I can buy 44-pound bags of this pureed fruit that will serve the need of pineapple juice, or the plums that I used to get. At first I bought fresh plums, but that is awful because you have to get the pit out. Then I moved to IQF, individually quick frozen plums, but that has a high shipping cost and you have to keep them frozen. And so that was a solution for now, but then I found a fruit puree company that has a plum puree that is delicious. It is so good. Way better tasting than the frozen plums. And now we don't have to worry about as much freezer space. Once, unopened, the boxes are shelf stable and good to go. Once you crack them open, of course, then it's just like a big puree of fresh plums, because that's the only ingredient in there. That has its own issues to work around, but it's a better solution. And so, I imagine as we grow, it's just going to be more stuff like that, figuring out solutions to the problem that are unique to us.
Yeah, you just got to... you get bigger and your problems get bigger and your solutions have to get bigger.
Exactly right.
What do you restock, like once a week on your ingredients or something?
Yeah, at least once a week, if not multiple, depending on what we're doing.
Yeah, what all you got to go.
Yep. We only have so much fridge space too.
Yeah, that's another.
Yeah.
It's just something you have to work around.
Yep.
So when you started the extra hot sauces, you're talking about when you were doing brimstone, it being too hot, and now it's down. I think it's a 2 out of 3 on the scale.
Yeah. So and the way I handle my spice scale is kind of weird, because it's not, my sauces are not about the heat. Yeah, they're hot sauces. They're sauces that are hot, but it's not like, oh, it's this many Scoville units or this or that. It's like, yeah, it's mild, it's medium, or it's hot. For the average person, that's it. It's more about the flavor.
Yeah, because like the brimstone there, to me, it's not really. It's definitely hotter than the low level, but it's not really that hot.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, and some people might see a 2 out of 3 and think it's like, well, that's going to be pretty hot for me. It's just like you said, different people with different palates. But I think it's just perfect. But now then some of them others that you've got the 3 out of 3 on. Some of those are really hot to me, and then I'll give them to like one of my buddies or something. They'll be like, "Man, this is perfect. This is just how I want it."
Yeah, the heat tolerance out there is wild. The what people can or cannot handle. To me, Totex is like barely spicy at all, and I'll hand it off to some people. And they're like, "Whoa, that's too hot for me." And it's like, dude, what do you mean?
Yeah, that's how my wife is. You can give her like the Totex or something on the lower end there, and she thinks it's like the hottest stuff out there.
Yeah, so finding like one scale to unify, that doesn't really work. So I mean, any scale is really going to be specific to the brand, and I'm sure somebody out there is like, "Well, the Scoville scale is that one unifying scale." It's not. It's all a gimmick. I'm sorry. The Scoville scale, yes, it is the measure of how much capsaicin is in the product, but how hot that product presents depends on the other ingredients that are in there. How sweet the sauce is, how acidic it is, how this, how that, how much salt is in, all of that stuff matters. Or like in the tahini and the brimstone, like I mentioned, that the fattiness of the tahini binds to the capsaicin and changes that heat profile. So no, the Scoville scale is not accurate unless you are talking about peppers, salt, and vinegar and nothing else.
Yeah, after you start combining stuff with them, it all goes out the window.
Yeah, it all changes.
That's just like with anything. I mean, you get anything and you water it down, it's going to change the flavor and change the consistency of it just by watering it down.
Absolutely. There's so many different variables in each jar. There's not a one good scale. So that's why I've got the 3 pepper scale, which are mild, medium, and hot. And to be honest, for my white label sauces, it's either, I do also do like half peppers sometimes, just to kind of like try to dial it in a little bit. Like this one's a little hotter than this one or this, whatever. But they're all either 1 or 2 peppers for the white label, and anything hotter than that, it's just going to be a black label with 3 flames. Mm-hmm. And it's just like kind of meant to convey, a generality of how hot it's going to be.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be different from person to person.
I love the look of the black label.
Yeah.
The black
really
label, that just looks cool.
Especially with the metallic border there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It just, there's something about that black label that's like, this is the stuff. This is what you want.
I would like to find a way to give the white label sauces that same kind of luster. But, one thing at a time.
Yeah. Yeah. Just, it works for now. You got more on your mind, more important things to handle.
Indeed.
What advice would you give somebody starting any kind of food business like you've done?
What advice would I give? It's hard. Prepare for it to be difficult. It is really, really, really tough to get established, to stand out, and it's absolutely worth the effort to do it. It is so much fun once you get in the swing of things, but understand that getting in the swing of things is going to take years of effort. There's just no two ways around it. It's the hardest thing that I have ever done, but you just got to keep working. Whatever's getting in your way, nobody cares. Work harder. I don't know whose quote that is, but when days get hard and you're wallowing, like, oh, this, nobody cares. Work harder.
It's Cam Haynes.
Yeah,
Cam Haynes. I've got a shirt with that on down there. That's the truth, though. Yeah, nobody cares. Work harder.
Yeah.
And then people start to care.
Yep. That's it.
Well, you got anything else you want to say?
Not off the top of my head.
I think we've had a pretty good episode here.
I would say so. This was fun.
Besides the power outage there, whatever.
Got to add a little intrigue to it.
Yeah, that was just I don't know what was going on there really. Well, go ahead and tell everybody all your socials and stuff and where to find you, website and all that.
The website is harmacyhotsauce.com, and my handles across Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all that is Harmacy Hot Sauce. Come check out my content. You can see videos of us actually manufacturing the product. You can see everything that goes into it. And also, we're always available. Don't ever be afraid to reach out with any questions or whatever it is. We love to chat.
Yeah, well, there you go, everybody. If you like hot sauce, if you know somebody who likes hot sauce, if you know somebody who likes food that has a good flavor to it, you don't have to like hot sauce to like this hot sauce. You can just cook with it. And just anything you can think of that you want to add some flavor to, he's got you covered on it. Anything you need hot sauce for, He's got you covered. Just buy it all, try it all. You'll like something. And it, like we said earlier, if you don't like something, there ain't nobody out there who's going to be able to help you. It's your own problem if you don't like any of this. Thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Everybody, make sure to subscribe and listen to future episodes. Have a good night.